Hey folks, it's Josh. I thought I'd show you a real quick video on these IPM boards. IPM stands for Integrated Pest Management. And these are like a white cardboard material type board that you insert in the bottom of these screen bottom boards for a Langstroth hive. And I only use screen bottom boards on all my hives, whether it be the Apime bottom board or just your traditional bottom board for Langstroths. I prefer screen bottom boards for many reasons. There's lots of beekeepers that prefer solid bottom boards for many reasons. You could have an entire debate on which one is better. If you ask many beekeepers' opinions, you'll get lots of different answers and lots of different reasons. I just, again, do whatever works best for me, which is what I encourage everyone else to do. Whatever works best for you, use it. So for my screen bottom boards in the wintertime, we want to put these IPM boards back in because they provide a barrier for the heat to maintain inside the hive during the winter months. During the summer months, though, I pull these IPM boards out and the screen bottom board stays open, and that helps with ventilation because obviously you get more bees in the spring and the wintertime. More bees, more heat. Increased ventilation is necessary to prevent bearding on the front of your hives, which I'll show you what that looks like. I generally don't have bearding problems because I keep my hives well ventilated, but if you do a quick Google search for bearding, it literally looks like a bunch of bees forming a beard on the front of the hive because they're hot, and that brood inside has to maintain a very specific temperature. So the bees will leave the hive in order to maintain that brood at the appropriate temperature, and they will just congregate and beard together. That's where the name comes from. But this is the IPM board that goes in the bottom. And what I thought is I'd kind of show you what this looks like, and specifically what the Varroa Destructor or Varroa Mite looks like, because I recently treated all these hives with oxalic acid. I have not posted that video yet, but I plan to post it soon. I just need to do some more editing on it. But I thought I would show you what the contents of an IPM board look like. And after hitting hives with oxalic acid, especially during a very low brood period or no brood period, which we are currently in here in Kentucky in the November month, that's the best time to hit oxalic acid because it only targets the phoretic mites, which is a fancy word for mites that are physically attached to the bee's back, not mites that are under the capped brood attached to drones or any other larva. So there's actually quite a few mites on here, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but I'm going to try to point them out to you. So there's a mite. So they look like these little round sort of dots. And let me bring you over here in the sunlight. Might be able to see a little bit better. So there's one right there. I don't know if the camera's gonna zoom very well, but if you look real closely and you have good eyes, you can see the legs there on the front of it. So, and here's my thumb to give you some perspective on just how tiny these things are. Let me see if I can find another one here. So there's another one right there. See the legs on the top there? And every once in a while when I come out here and look on here, you can find them alive and still crawling on here. So this might be a little bit better. So there's a few right there. If I get too close, the camera doesn't want to focus. So there's one in the middle. Just looking around on the board here, there's quite a few up here. I don't know if you can see them there, but there's a lot of those dark circles are mites. And that, my friends, is public enemy number one for our wonderful Apis mellifera honeybees. So we as beekeepers have to do our duty and our job to control these mites and fight them to the best of our ability. This right here in the middle is soft sugar brick, where the bees have already started to tear into the sugar brick at the top of the Vivaldi boards that I put on recently. And it just, inherently, some of it falls between the frames and drops onto this bottom board. So, but that's fine, as long as they have food That's all that really matters. So I thought that might, be interesting for everybody to see what the Varroa Destructor looks like. And I systematically go through the bottom IPM boards of all my hives, and I'll clean this off. I check for mite drops. You'll hear it called mite drops after you do a treatment, looking for a kill rate. Anything, when you see this many mites, I mean, that tells you like it was really important that you treated that hive, because especially going into the winter months when all these bees are clustered together, even though the amount of brood is down significantly, which is where mites really multiply, is when they attach to like the drone or even the worker brood. They prefer drone brood, but there's little to absolutely no drones in the hive right now, especially brood this time of year. So they get in with the workers and they attach themselves to the larva there, and the pupa specifically. And then when they emerge is when they multiply. And don't quote me on this, but the numbers can like grow exponentially in a hive. I mean, you can go from just a few mites to a ton of mites in just a very short period of time, within 1 or 2 months. Each brood cycle, when the bees go through it, there's more and more that hatch. And there's all sorts of really cool videos out there you can watch, like the life cycle of the mite and how quickly they can multiply. But they are public enemy number one for us. We hate them as beekeepers. They are single-handedly responsible for the majority of colony collapses for honeybees. They carry really nasty viruses like deformed wing virus and K-wing and all sorts of other stuff that they are vectors for. I don't have it all memorized, but if you, again, do a Google search, if you're really interested in the viruses that Varroa Destructor Mite spreads, you can do all sorts of research on that. I'm not the expert on the matter. I don't claim to be. I just know that it's my job as a beekeeper to help kill these things and keep my bees healthy. So good nutrition, dead mites equals healthy bees. And that's what we aim for as beekeepers. And part of this is to do inspections. I told you guys I don't do mite washes. There's lots of beekeepers that do, and that's fantastic. It's technically the right thing to do. I just choose not to, because I know every single one of my hives has mites. It's just a matter of what the mite load is. And when I look at my IPM boards and I count 50 to 100 mites on these, then I know that treating was the right answer. And as cheap as oxalic acid is, I come out here and I can hit them I can hit them twice a week. Come out here with a gun, boom, boom, boom. You saw how quickly, well, you haven't seen yet, but I'm going to post a video on how quickly that is. It doesn't take me any time, maybe 30 minutes out here with 10 hives, and I can just hit them with the oxalic acid, and I get really good mite drops. And I'm just going to keep treating. Now, as it gets super cold and they cluster together, you could force the bees to break cluster, and that's not good. But we're having a crazy November here in Kentucky, and it's still 70s out here. So I think it's a really, really good time to hit your hives with oxalic acid. You don't want to treat them when it's below 30 degrees, but I don't think there's any ceiling temperature. 70 degrees seems perfect to me. And I just really, really, really want to make sure that these hives have as little mites as humanly possible going into their winter storage time period, so that these bees can be ready, fired up, and ready to go into the springtime. And they're going to come out gangbusters, and that queen's going to go to work. And then these hives are just going to explode in population, get my honey supers on, and get a really good yield. So, that's the goal. Again, you just want to make sure that whatever your IPM or your mite treatment is, just stay consistent with it. Make sure that you're treating your hives. I can't overstate enough. It's extremely important if you don't want to lose colonies. I think the Varroa mite was introduced in the United States sometime in the 80s, early 80s, sometime around then, and it's just been decimating honeybees ever since. And we as beekeepers have to do our duty to try to control that to the best that we can. And we have several tools in our belt, several arsenals and miticides at our disposal. Whichever your favorite one is choice is, go ahead and use that. But if you're a new beekeeper, do a lot of research on treating for mites and the Varroa Destructor, because you'll get tenfold out of the amount of time that you spend researching into it, because it's critical, it's vital, it's so important for your bees. And I don't know. I don't know how to say it any differently. So I've already repeated myself a couple times. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Just a quick video today. Just wanted to show you kind of what the IPM boards look like, what a Varroa mite looks like when it drops onto the IPM board, and just give you a little bit of insight into my integrated pest management treatment and what I do for my bees. You know, I've already told you guys I use oxalic acid, but I also used ApiGuard earlier this year. So I'll continue to treat for mites and bring you guys along for the ride so you can kind of see what I do personally. And proof is in the pudding. You see mites dropping on the board like this, that's always a good thing. So we like to see dead mites here at Bees in the Weeds. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give it that thumbs up, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.